The Emirates scoreboard said 5-0, but the real story was written in a substitution board and the moment a 15-year-old clipped his laces and walked into the technical area. Max Dowman's debut wasn't fluff or a publicity stunt, it was the visible end of a long, deliberate plan. At 15 years and 235 days, he became the second youngest player ever to step into a Premier League match, but the number only tells part of the story. What happened that afternoon was a test. Can a modern elite club turn raw teenage talent into meaningful first-team minutes without burning the player or the project? Arsenal treated the decision like an investment, not a headline, and that difference matters. Dowman's trajectory through the academy reads like a fast-track syllabus in elite football development. Under-18 debut at 13, the youngest scorer in the UEFA Youth League, appearances in Premier League 2 at 14. Then the senior squad's mid-season camp in Dubai, and a string of pre-season friendlies where he earned minutes and even won penalties against well-regarded opponents. Those checkpoints aren't decoration. They're data points that told the coaches he could handle pressure, adapt to senior routines, and, critically, carry himself off the pitch with the maturity required at that age. Mikel Arteta's comments after the game underscored what the numbers couldn't. This was about temperament as much as technique. He pointed to a kid with a zero hesitation, raised by a family and an academy that taught stability and hunger, qualities that separate prodigious talents from promising names that fizzle. That endorsement matters because the transition from academy brilliance to Premier League reliability has crushed more reputations than it has made. The support network around Dowman gives him a fighting chance. Senior players like Declan Rice have taken on mentoring roles, and teammates such as Jurriën Timber have publicly celebrated his debut, framing the moment as collective pride rather than reckless promotion. Tactical choices in his early senior minutes also show a club thinking in calibrated steps. Dowman often played centrally in youth setups where his vision and half-turn quality could shine. In senior matches, he was eased in from wider positions to reduce the physical mismatch while preserving his influence on the ball. That flexibility protects him physically and preserves the developmental curve coaches want to maintain. Equally important are the off-field safeguards. Specific training conditions, separate routines when required, and clear attention to his education so a schoolboy's life doesn't collapse under a sudden celebrity. Comparisons to Lamine Yamal and Ethan Nwaneri are natural but dangerous. Every prodigy's path is unique, and the right balance between exposure and protection is what differentiates success from burnout. Arsenal knows the cautionary tales of the Premier League. Jack Wilshere and Cesc Fabregas broke through early but needed careful careers management to avoid pitfalls. The club's next moves will be revealing. Favourable cup draws and late-season cameo minutes could offer controlled opportunities without forcing premature pressure. For Dowman himself, the task is profoundly simple and brutally hard all at once. Keep learning, protect the schooling, and let each positive minute compile into confidence rather than. For Arsenal, the task is strategic. Use this debut to reinforce an identity that values homegrown breakthroughs while building systems to shield those players from overexposure. If handled well, this moment won't be a one-off novelty. It will be the first chapter in a decade-long narrative where the academy is a pipeline of real trusted first-team contributors. If mishandled, the headlines will be regret. Tonight's applause at the Emirates belonged to a kid who dared to believe at 15, and to a club that, for one afternoon, trusted its youth enough to make a statement. The real story unfolds next. In training sessions, in classroom reports, in careful substitutions, and in the quiet work away from floodlights. That is where legends are either protected or broken, and that is why Max Dowman's debut matters far beyond the final whistle.